Greetings, jury members. At this time, we will read through background information on this case before the prosecution and defense present their sides. Please read along with me, mark the text, and record notes in your jury handbook. Marco Polo was born in 1254 into an adventurous family who lived in Venice, Italy. In 1928, he wrote a book which tells about his family and the adventures of his father and uncle. His father, Niccolo, and uncle Maffeo were jewel merchants and had spent all 15 years of Marco's early life on an amazing adventure exploring the Far East. There they had met the great Kublai Khan, son of Genghis Khan. Khan was a title given to Genghis Khan and his successors. When they returned to their home of Venice, Italy, the two brothers immediately planned a return journey. They had been invited by the great Khan to return and bring 100 Christian missionaries and special oil from Jerusalem. After dealing for 2 years with church politics about sending missionaries, the brothers decided to leave anyway. In 1271, Niccolo and Maffeo began their second journey from Venice to the Far East. This time they took along 17-year-old Marco and 2 friars carrying letters from the Pope to the Khan. However, the friars became frightened and quickly abandoned the dangerous journey. They gave the letters to Marco to deliver instead. The Polo expedition sailed from Venice to Acco, a port in Palestine, and went into Jerusalem to get the oil that the Khan wanted. They rode camels through Armenia, where they saw petroleum, and then saw the mountain believed to contain the remains of Noah's Ark. Next, they traveled by ship to the Persian port of Hormuz in modern-day Iran. But the ships were not safe there, so the members of the Polo expedition continued to ride camels across deserts in Afghanistan, where they saw ruby mines. They rested 1 year in the mountains so that Marco could recover from a fever. Then they crossed the mountains of Tibet and traveled through the Gobi Desert. In 1274, they finally reached Kublai Khan's summer place in Shangtu, where they received a rousing welcome. Marco claims he served the Khan as government official for 17 years. During this time, Marco said he visited the southern and eastern areas of China, Burma, Indochina, Indonesia, and Malaya. In 1291, the Polos began asking the Khan to allow them to go home. For a long time he denied their request. Finally, in 1292, he let them leave to escort a huge bridal party to a relative in Persia, Iran. On their way, they were provided with 14 ships. They sailed to Singapore, then to Sumatra, and around the northern tip of India. The group traveled across the Arabian Sea and the Gulf of Oman to Hormuz. Sadly, most of the wedding party died on the trip. When they arrived in Persia, the groom had died, so the young bride married his son. The Polos traveled onward to the Turkish port of Trebizond on the Black Sea. Next, they sailed to Constantinople in Istanbul, and finally to Venice, arriving in 1295. When the Polo family arrived home, no one recognized them. Their own family had believed they had long been dead. Finally, the family let them in, and then they had a great dinner. While all the servants had gone home, the 3 Polos opened up the hems of their tattered clothes and dumped out sapphires, diamonds, and other precious jewels. They brought back many luxurious gifts, including ivory, jade, porcelain, and silk. Upon returning, they found Venice at war with Genoa. Marco took sides with Venice and was captured and imprisoned. Some scholars think he was on a ship that was captured. The prisoners were taken to Genoa. During his jail sentence, he dictated his stories to his cellmate, Ruscilio of Pisa, a popular romance writer. The handwritten book, called The Description of the World, was completed in 1298. The printing press had not yet been invented, so scholars rewrote the book by hand to produce more copies. In the book, Polo commented on many Far Eastern customs and the unique things he had seen. Lying on his deathbed, Marco Polo was questioned again about his book in which he claims he traveled to China. Even back then, there were people who doubted that he ever actually went on the journey that he wrote about. Marco proclaimed, "I have only told the half of what I saw." The book, which he wrote after his long journey to China, received mixed reviews. Some believed he had told wild tales. Many people in Venice called him the man of a million lies. The information he left out of his book is what makes many question his journey today, but some people believed he told the truth. Even Columbus studied Marco Polo's book and used it to navigate a sea route to the Far East. Did he actually go to China, or was his account a lie? Did he glean ideas about China from other travelers and then write about it as if he had taken the trip himself? Or did he really travel there, but merely exaggerate some of his stories to make them more interesting? Regardless of whether or not Polo actually traveled to China, his book changed the world by sparking European interest in the exploration of the Far East and eventually the exploration of the New World. Please also take a look at the map showing the supposed journey of Marco Polo, beginning here in Europe and following along where this dotted line on the map is. Here's to India, and then farther east to the other side of Asia where China is.